we are on Cycle 1, Week 2, and we're going to do science. And our science project has a great picture in our book right here, and it's the parts of the tree. Now generally, when we talk about the parts of the tree and other units of Eden Hope Academy, we go into photosynthesis for 1 week, or we talk about the actual physical parts of the tree, like the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. So many things to talk about trees. So you can definitely mention those in your class. You can talk about how the roots absorb minerals and how the leaves photosynthesize. You can talk about all of that, but kind of concentrate today on the actual physical parts of the tree. Your students should have already drawn a picture, so they should have some familiarity. And so what you'll do is you'll pass out a cookie. This is called a cookie. It's just a thin slice of I think cedar trees. And they even have a little hole in them there because we're going to do a little project with that later. So what you're going to do is you're going to talk about the first, which is the bark. And the bark, oh, you have this. It's on the website. You can print it out before class so that you have it as a cheat sheet, or you can look at it on your smartphone. So the bark protects the tree from injury, disease, insects, and weather. So pause and have your children feel the bark, discuss the texture. Why does the texture help the tree? What if it was really slick? Where would a slicker tree, like a gum tree, be? What would a tree look like? Talk about the different types of tree barks. Like an oak tree has really thick bark, and a cedar tree, you could probably peel this off, but don't let them peel it off quite yet. You could probably peel this off really easily. So talk about the different reasons that each tree would have a different type of bark. And then talk about why the bark would need to be rough or why it would need to be smooth. And talk about how this protects the tree. Even the color kind of protects it. It's a little bit darker of a color and it looks like it protects it. So talk about the bark for just a second. The next one is the bast, or the inner bark. And so get your students to say, what is the next layer? You have the bark, or the outer bark, and then you have the bast. The bast follows the bark. And the inner bark, or phloem, carries nutrients and sugar from the leaves down the tree to its branches, trunks, and roots. And where do those leaves get that sugar? Is it like sipping out of kids' drinks as they walk in the park? No, it's not. The sugar is photosynthesized. That's pretty cool. It takes light to photosynthesize. So the sugar is derived from the leaves, and this little part right in here. So if your students flick off a little piece of the bark, they can see the bast right there, and the bast carries the sugar. The next one is the cambium. And the cambium is the growth layer that is only 1 or 2 cells thick. So I don't even think with our magnifying glasses that we can really see the cambium. And my dog is barking, I apologize. It makes new cells during the growing seasons and eventually become part of the phloem, part of the xylem, or more cambium. The cambium is what makes the trunk, branches, and roots grow and large in diameter. Now that's interesting. I have not looked that up, but I wonder if you took off bark but left the cambium on, if the tree would still grow. But if you removed all the cambium, I bet your tree would just die, don't you think? And it's so thin you wouldn't be able to see it. So the cambium layer is the growing layer of the tree. Okay, the next layer is the sapwood. And the sapwood is the xylem. It's also called the xylem. So can everyone say the xylem? Is the youngest layer of the wood that transports water and minerals up the tree to the branches. Okay, so the sapwood is next. And see, if you look with your magnifying glass, right there you can see the sapwood. And it makes the water and the nutrients flow up the tree. That's pretty cool. So much is going on with this tree on just these outer layers that children can touch when they see trees. And that so we're going to remember that the outer bark protects the tree, the inner bark carries nutrients down the tree, the cambium grows the tree, and the sapwood carries up. So what part carries up the tree? Did you guys say sapwood? Good job. How about going down? Wait. Did I get that right? Down is the inner bark. Pretty cool. So sapwood goes up, inner bark goes down. All right, next is the heartwood. And the heartwood is the inner core of dead wood that supports the tree. So it's the very inner core would be hardwood. And it's actually, they're saying that it's dead, which is kind of strange. But it's called the heartwood. And as the tree grows, older xylem cells in the center of the tree become inactive and die, forming the heartwood. So the heartwood is right there in the middle of the tree. And then finally, growth rings. And we're going to talk about growth rings in our class, and we're going to count to see how old these trees were. And with growth rings, you're counting how many rings you see, and then you're observing, are they big rings? Are they really, really, really small rings? If they're larger, that means the tree received more water and nutrients that year. Growth rings are for 1 year. And if they're smaller, that means there wasn't a lot of moisture and nutrients that year for that tree. And so you're going to count these, your students are going to count these, and then they're going to say how old that tree was. And if you look at this one, this must have been a very well-watered, very easy to read tree, because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 perfectly circled, almost the same amount. This looks like something that was probably in someone's garden that got the same amount of water every single month or so for each year. Now, after they finish counting it, discussing the parts, maybe you can have a competition and you can say sapwood, and the kids can stand up and you can say bast, and the kids can sit down. Something like that as a game to play to remember these parts. Or maybe you can add in a part for outer covering. Or you could say bark and they could act like they're putting on a coat. And what else could you do? Heartwood, they could go like they're dying or something like that. So you could play a game with them like that as well. And then on one side, they're going to keep it nice and clean, just like it is. On the other side, they're going to take some markers and they're going to draw something like a tree, or perhaps a tree of life, something like that right here. And then they're going to put a string through it, and then they can wear it as a necklace, and they can remember the parts of the tree. So remember, make it fun, make your class interesting, get those parts in, and it's just so much fun to learn something like that, because every time they look at a tree, they're going to think about you and how cool you are as a teacher, and they're going to think about how that bark protects it, and then the cambium grows it, and the bast sends things, I have to learn this, the bast sends things down, and the sapwood sends things up, and the heartwood is dead. So much fun. Thank you for everything you do, because we truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you.